Hey guys, it's Noah and welcome back to Hollywood TV, our podcast. Well, you may know our next guest from the hit films War Room or Courageous, but you can now catch him in a new movie based on a true story titled No Vacancy, now streaming on Pureflix. Please welcome TC Stallings. Hi, TC.
Hey, brother, how you doing? How you doing? Thanks for having me.
I'm doing great. It's nice to have you on the show. Thank you so much for taking your time to come on.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Thank you, man. And yeah, man, to stream it on Pureflix but I'm happy to say now it's also on more of the mainstream platforms as well.
That's awesome.
So Amazon, Apple TV,
Oh, that's
Hulu,
amazing.
Pureflix. So it's in a lot of places, so everybody can
A
see it,
lot of
which is what I
carriers.
want. Yeah, yeah.
TC, it's really nice to have you on the show this morning. So let's start off by a statement you gave Christian Headlines. I found this really interesting, and I wanted to bring it to our audience this morning. So you stated that you have no problem turning down a movie role. I admire that in you, but can you share with us the type of roles you have received that just don't align with the values you stand for?
Yeah, I mean, it's really simple. It's not even that deep. It's just basically if I can't, I have this one thing that I always say to myself when it's an audition or it's an offer that somebody says, "Hey, will you play this role?" It's just like, okay, I'll look at it and I'm just like, can I do this in front of Jesus? And people
Yeah.
always tend to think that that means it has to be some kind of religious script or anything like that. But no, I'm not. I am not a faith-based film actor. I am an actor who happens to be a Christian. And it's just I've done a lot of faith-based films. Let's see what people fail to understand is I will do anything as long as I can do it in front of Jesus. And there's
Mhm.
plenty of non-religious roles or non-faith-based roles that have nothing to do with that. But it's I'm a clean content, clean entertainment. You
I
can be
like that.
edgy. You can be edgy without getting too crazy. Basically, I don't kiss any other women but my wife. I don't do sex scenes. I don't use profanity. I can't do all those type of things in front of Jesus. So if it's
Mhm.
actually acting and I can act and everything, great. But if not, I won't do it. So that's a question I always ask myself. And actually, anybody who calls themselves a Christian, if you really act and you're a performer, if you ask
Mhm.
yourself that question, there's a lot of roles that some Christians or so-called Christians are taking that they wouldn't take if Jesus was standing right there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's really what it comes down to. I'll do anything as long as it doesn't dishonor God.
I like how you put that, and that's a great way to share that answer. And, I think so many that do call themselves Christians and then go a little over the line, like you said, they wouldn't do that in front of Jesus.
Nah, and
They
they
just
just they
wouldn't do
won't
it.
even they won't even ask themselves some questions because they know the answer. And then but there's grace for people who actually haven't went that far because I got to think about 20 years ago, I wasn't thinking that way. I
Mhm.
probably would think that hey, you can't tell me I don't love Jesus, even with me doing
Yeah.
my cussing, even with me because I hadn't matured in my faith just yet. So I'm not judging people who haven't got there yet because I
Mhm.
was at a stage where I hadn't got there yet. I love them and I hope that they see this and they're like, let me think about that. And then they get it right. I'm not here to judge them. I'm here to inform them, just like somebody informed me so they can be better.
Now, TC, can you talk with us about the prevalent issue I think we still have in today's entertainment industry? As so many, they will discuss their political beliefs or endorse a politician, but then therefore still or shadow ban from discussing religion, which I find so crazy. But TC, why do you feel so many hide their thoughts in Hollywood as far as not wanting to take on that role in faith-based or Christianity movies?
Well, I think the whole topic is on the hush hush because a lot of people worry about their opportunities.
Hmm.
If you're a director or a writer or something, you want to do a film that involves Jesus or something like that, and you think people are gonna like shy away from you or actors aren't gonna want to work with you. And the same thing with actors. If you say you love Jesus or you're not ashamed of your faith, now you think you won't get hired. And for me,
Hmm.
that the problem is you've given all the power to humans instead of giving the power to God and believing that he controls your opportunities. So that's what has helped me over my 10 to 12 years in the industry. I went out to Hollywood in 2012 and I just said to myself that God is in control of my opportunities. No one can open doors or shut doors but him. So I keep the power in his hands. When I go to an audition, I say I'm going to be me. I'm not gonna like hate on people and be like this Pharisee type Christian. I'm going to
Hmm.
stand up for my faith. I'm going to love these people. I'm going to do my best job as an actor. And they're either going to, the Lord is going to open that door or not. And he's just going to use them to deliver the message. They don't make
Hmm.
the decisions. they carry the message. God controls everything. So that allows me to be myself. And I think if you're unaware of that, if you don't know scripture, if you don't know the Bible, if you don't put your trust that God is the one controlling the opportunities, then you're likely to compromise and do whatever it takes to get the role, or do whatever it takes to be accepted in Hollywood. And that is actually idolatry, for one thing. And number two, it's giving the power, like I said, to human beings instead of God. And how can he bless you in that way? Because you'll never change. You'll keep bending to what people want you to do. So that's just something that has been my way. And God has blessed me every year in my career because I put him first and I've trusted him with my opportunities. And I just wish more people who call themselves Christians would be willing to do that. And then they'll see that, man, God is in control. Nobody can do anything that he don't want them to do.
And now, TC, our kids are growing up in today's world, going to school, being taught about the LGBTQ plus community and doubling down on BLM, which they should be taught about the things they go to school for, such as decision-making skills, problem-solving skills, personal hygiene, meal prep, communication skills. The list could continue, but the school boards still refuse to teach the importance of religion to our kids, even though, they have no problem sharing other topics with our kids, even though, really, to be honest with you, TC, none of these topics are really needed in school, as they can be discussed at home if the parents want to discuss these topics with their kids instead of a classroom setting. But the point is, why do people always try to put religion or faith on the sideline all the time? I always feel like that's a thing that occurs and happens.
Well, man, everything I read in scripture suggests that this is what the world will be like. I mean, the Bible says that the world doesn't understand it. They see it as
Hmm.
folly. They're not interested in it. Jesus himself said, foxes have holes, birds have nests, but the Son of Man has no place to lay his head. He was rejected all over the place. I don't know why people think that we're going to find more favor than the perfect Son of God. They reject
Yeah.
Jesus the same way. We're being treated the way he got treated. And it's how we handle it that shows that we identify with him. So with that being said, I wouldn't so much control. I wouldn't so much to try to control the things I can't control. The world's going to be the world. But what I want to see Christians do a better job of is controlling what they can control, and that's the way that they represent him. Because if we
Hmm.
want to keep it all the way real, I know a lot of people who have problems with Christians, and then when I look at what that so-called Christian did, I'm siding with the person who had the problem with this Pharisee type behavior, with this judgmental type behavior. But if you
Hmm.
do it the way Jesus did it, he would condemn the sin and he would love the person. And
Yeah.
if the person had a problem with the way that Jesus loved them, he wouldn't change the way that he loved them. He would not support their sin, but he would
Hmm.
support them as someone that he loved. And so for that reason, a lot of people will walk away from him, but they can't say that Jesus didn't love him. And that's how a true Christian is supposed to be. But no, you look at us and you see a lot of us arguing politically, cussing with people, and people look at
Hmm.
that like, man, you a Christian, and then
Yeah.
now you're killing your testimony. So I'm
Mhm.
not concerned about necessarily what the world is doing, because everything I
Mhm.
read in the scripture has already warned me that it would do that. What I'm more concerned about
Right.
is playing my role properly within it and not giving people a reason to not want to follow Jesus. That's what we should really be
Mhm.
doing and be really, really good at.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. Very well said, TC. Now, so many are recovering from the COVID-19 pandemic as we are getting back to a normal setting, but unfortunately, you lost your mother to COVID-19. I'm very
Yeah,
sorry, TC, for
thank
your
you.
loss. But, share with us how your faith helped you through that difficult moment in your life and, how it still helps you today through grief.
Man, that was really hard, because at that moment, you I remember when the report came out. Here we are in California, and that cruise ship docked on our coast, and they were talking
Mhm.
about people are not being let off the ship, and the quarantining, and all this is new to me, and I'd never seen nothing like this in my life. And then California, when I was living there, I just moved from California. But we were the first ones where they're like, hey, everybody's got a mask up and all of that and stuff. And you go out to, like, I don't know, we were going like Sam's Club, man, and everybody had
Wow.
on masks. And it's
Yeah.
this long line where they're only letting one person in at a time.
It
I'm
was
just like,
crazy.
it's it's looked like like apocalypse or something, man. It was
It's
just, I'm
like you're
like,
waiting to get into Walt Disney World, you know?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
what?
But and then with everybody with these masks on, and it's just like
Mhm.
and it was so eerie quiet. It was weird. So anyway,
Very weird.
I'm sitting here, and as the pandemic traveled through the country, you start seeing places that were getting worse and worse. I'm from Cleveland. That's
Mhm.
where my parents live, and I saw it was really getting bad there. And every day I
Yeah.
was telling my mother to be careful, and then lo and behold, she catches it. and my stepfather catches it, and my grandmother. So I lost my mother a week after her birthday, and then
Oh,
literally 15 days later, her mother passed, my grandmother. So
oh, that's
COVID took them
awful.
both out at the same time, and man, the thing that I was ready to just break down and be done. But the
Yeah,
thing that
I bet.
yeah, but I got siblings, and people know that where my faith is, and not all of them are where I am in my faith. So I knew they'd be looking to me, and I wasn't ready to be fake or phony. I mean, whatever I felt, I'm ready to feel. But the Lord held me up, man. And this thought is what went in my mind. The pain that I was feeling from what I lost was superseded by realizing what my mother just gained. If I
Hmm.
believe in scripture, man, the Bible says to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. So I knew in some way, shape, form, or fashion, she was with Jesus because she believed, and I'm so glad she did. And because I believe I'll see her again, that actually gave me this peace. And the Bible always talks about the peace that surpasses all understanding. And it's like you have to be put in something where you need that kind of peace to actually understand that. And I had that, and I just didn't fight it. And so
Yeah,
I was able to just, that's what gives me my peace, is knowing that, hey, if my mother could come back right now, my grandmother could come back right now, they both know Jesus, and they wouldn't. So they're
yeah.
they're better off, they're better off than I am, and that has held me up. And so yeah, man, but that was very, 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 very tough to deal with. I think about it all the time. This is her on my wrist right here, a picture of me and my
Oh,
mother. And
oh,
so
I
that,
love that.
yeah, man, that was the last time we
That's
were together.
awesome.
Last time we were together. So I see her every day.
That's a great way to remember her and all the memories. And I love that you have such a, or, had such a close relationship with your mom. Now, what were some of her greatest qualities or wisdom that she taught you that you continue to carry in your daily life?
Well, man, I always say I got the best version of my mother because I was the youngest of six. And she made all her mistakes with my other siblings.
Yeah.
Like, as you know, my mother used to party and drink and do that. But it's like as she matured in her walk with the Lord, and by the time I'm born,
Hmm.
she was like 30 years old, and she was singing in the choir, and she would make me go to church and stuff. And I'm the youngest, so I got her most mature version. And
Uh,
so she put me on the path to get to know the Lord. And that was
mm,
probably her greatest accomplishment with me, is making sure
hmm.
that I knew who he was. And she was just my biggest fan and my biggest supporter of anything that I ever done. She was always front row. I play as an athlete, whatever I was doing, school
Hmm.
plays, whatever. And she just wanted to see me succeed. And so her greatest thing was just loving me unconditionally, always being in my corner, always being proud. And because I wanted to please her so badly, that's why I stayed out of trouble. That's why
Mm,
stayed out of jail, stayed out of drugs, stayed out of crime, because I knew I couldn't A, get the goals I wanted for myself, and B,
hmm.
please her. So she was just she's my motivator, man. And I still, I still use that, today. It's just
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna make my mama proud, and I'm gonna keep doing it.
Now let's discuss your incredible new movie, No Vacancy. This movie has a lot of issues that some are facing in today's world. I think this movie will really be the one that people can gain more knowledge from after watching, or at least that's what I hope. But you play the role of Cecil Johnson. But tell us about the movie and why you decided to take on this role.
Oh man, this is for any actor. This is the dream role, because you're playing a real person,
Hmm.
and I had already been motivated by people who I've seen take on these types of roles. Like Jamie Foxx playing Ray, or Michael B. Jordan playing Brian Stevenson in Just
Hmm.
Mercy. Like Will Smith playing Ali. Like these types of
Yeah.
things. You know, um, you know. When you play a real person, Angela Bassett playing Tina Turner, right? You
Hmm.
People know what the real person was like, so you have to nail it,
Hmm.
and that's scary, and that's what you want. And like, I know the world may not know Cecil Johnson, but this dude's a hero, and it's like it's so many heroes that people don't know. And so a lot of people in South Florida knew who Cecil Johnson was. That's where he lived. Homeless dude, strung out on drugs, depression, trying to take his life, just everything. He's all messed up. And the movie No Vacancy centers around a church who, this is one
Hmm.
of those churches that are doing what you're supposed to do, man. Instead of building up a bunch of buildings, they decided, they look around the neighborhood and they see all these homeless people and strung out people like my character, and they're like, we got to do something. So they take that money and they are trying to purchase a motel so they can take all the homeless and drugs
That's
folks
amazing.
off the street, yeah, man,
Hmm.
and rehabilitate them. And so and so that's like two stories right there, because this movie centers around three stories. So that's two stories
Hmm.
right there. My character's on the street. The church is trying to get people like me off the street. And then you got this reporter at the big newspaper, Orlando Sentinel, gets demoted to the small town where all this is happening. And she finds out about it and writes a story, and it gets national attention. And so that's what the movie centers around, how my character is like one of the first people to go through this program, completely change his life around. And then he starts helping other people do the same thing. And everything about it is true. So I had to take it because it stretched me every which way, brother. I mean, I've never been on drugs. I've never, had to go through withdrawal. I've never
Right.
been like homeless to the point of where I didn't know where I was gonna get my next meal. I've
Mm.
never been like trying to take my own life. And
Yeah.
I had to portray all of this and be believable, man. So it was the most challenging role of my life, but that's exactly why I had to take it. And I knew the
Mhm.
story was gonna be inspirational too, and could start a movement of caring about people that are
Mhm.
struggling and not just
And
walking by
helping
them.
out the homeless as well,
That's
because
right.
we have so many people, especially not with just COVID and the pandemic, but with inflation, more people are now homeless than ever in today's world. And I hope this movie will inspire others to maybe help someone that's in need. But TC, how did you prepare for the role, and did you draw on any real life experiences prior to shooting?
Yeah, it's like I said, for me, I knew I'm like, I got to be authentic to this. People who are watching
Yeah,
this, there will be people who have been on drugs and got off drugs and been through the whole withdrawal process and all of that.
right.
So that they'll be watching. You got people who have lived on the street for years, and maybe, like they know what it's really like to be out there, and so on and so forth, man. And people who have really been through depression. I wanted to do that justice. I didn't want this fake acting stuff where you just,
Hmm.
this cookie cutter, like fake assuming
Like a
stuff.
Hallmark movie, you know?
Yeah, man, like, I'm like, no, no, no. So
Yeah.
the good thing, the bittersweet part of this is I grew up around all of that. I didn't
Hmm.
necessarily get into myself, but I grew up around all of that, all the drugs, all of the homelessness. I grew up around it all the time. And then when I was in LA, like I said, I lived there 10 years. When I would go to auditions, we would see homeless people outside the place, the building that we're going to audition. And I've always had a heart for that. So I would stop, man, and seeing them over and over and over again, me and my family was like, you know what? We know we're gonna see them when you go to your audition. Let's pack some sandwiches
Hmm.
and like some toiletries and things like that and take them.
Oh,
So
that's
I
so
would take
kind.
them and I would sit out there, have conversations with them before my auditions. I would do it just about all the time, unless I'm late to the audition. I gotta run. But I
Yeah.
would always go and take them food and sit down and have a conversation. So I know what it's like to either be involved in a situation, or I've seen people do it. And so for all of those things, I drew off of that. But the other
Hmm.
parts was like, you have to talk to people who knew my character in real life, because he actually passed away in 2019 from cancer. And so his
Mm.
wife was a huge source of me knowing how to be Cecil. And I would have Zoom calls with her. She would tell me, like, I wanted to know everything. Like, how did he laugh? How did he smile? How did he, and so that's how I, started to formulate my little accent that I had to work on. Cause she
Yeah.
told me how he talked. So he had this little laugh where he's like, oh, that. I wanted everything. So when people saw it,
Yeah.
they're like, it's Cecil. And so, man, it was
Mhm.
just a lot of that. And then I would watch videos of him doing his messages and videos of him sharing his testimony. And then I, watching stories and documentaries of people who had been on drugs. So, man, man, I wanted to get it right. And so when his wife told me in person at the end of this, she said, you nailed my hunk of chunk of chocolate. Like that was her nickname for him. She was like, you nailed it. She was like, there were certain scenes, TC, that I couldn't even be on set for, because like
Yeah.
he faced racism.
Mm.
He got brutally beat up. And so she just was like, you did it so good that I had to
That had
walk
to make you
away.
so proud as an actor to know
Man,
that you portrayed him very well, and you did a
bro,
phenomenal job as well. I mean, I
thank you.
watched it. It was great.
Thank you so much. Put it this way. The man's wife said I got it.
Yeah.
If his wife says you nailed Cecil Johnson, then I
Then you
nailed
know you
Cecil
did.
Johnson.
Yeah.
Right, 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 right. Yeah.
It would have been awful if she came up and said something bad. You're like, "Oh, no, no, it is
Uh,
not
and
right. It was terrible," you know? Oh my
go
goodness,
to
but
the director and say, y'all, I love TC, but y'all really should have picked somebody else. I'm like,
yeah. You're like, "Oh, no, this makes
dang,
me feel so great."
all
You
right. Nah, she was awesome, man. She was awesome.
know? Now, for many that don't know, you were an athlete before becoming an actor, but what led you to change those career paths?
Man, when I was playing football, like I said, my goal was always to get to the NFL, and I didn't make it to the NFL, but I was blessed enough to play in the Canadian
Hmm.
Football League over in Europe. I played. We won a Super Bowl over there. I got a chance to play, so I had a 6-year pro career, and it was just acting was always something that was in my back pocket as something that I thought would be cool. But I
Hmm.
never really set out to be a professional. I mean, like a lot of people don't know, like I went to Bedford High School in
Hmm.
Cleveland, Ohio. That's the same high school as Holly Berry. And so, Holly Berry, big time in our high school, and there was always rumors that she would come back, whatever the case may be. So, like, I was a fan, obviously, because her acting abilities, but also because she went to my high school. And I'm like, man, one day I'm gonna be the same thing to this high school. It's just probably gonna be for NFL football, but I'm gonna be a star too, and stuff like that. So you kind of put it in your back pocket. And then I was a theater arts. That was like my what you call it? Not my major, but my the secondary thing that you do.
Yeah, like
Uh,
a just a second career path, maybe.
yeah,
Or
yeah. So I would take that because I was just a fan of the just the genre. And so I would do plays in college. So that
hmm.
stuff was just for fun. Then in '04, I auditioned for King of the Jungle on Animal Planet just for
Yeah.
fun. Got the audition, won the show. This was my first time ever on TV, and this is kind of
Yeah.
where the acting bug started nibbling at me. But I won the whole show. I got sent to
Hmm.
Australia. The reward was to film your own show on Animal Planet, and I did
Mm.
that. And that was the first time I saw what it's like to have people scripting out stuff for you, production meetings, they
Yeah.
all expenses paid. I'm just like, oh, this is okay, all right. And so I'm like, I could do this. I'm like, but this is reality TV. It's not the real thing, but it production wise, it's 100% the real thing. I mean, this is Animal
Hmm.
Planet. So then I come back, I play some more pro football, but then they filmed Secretariat in Louisville, Kentucky, where I was living, and I
Mm.
was an extra on that. Now that was when I got a chance to really see what it was like. I saw professional actors up close, big, huge sets, all the cameras, all that stuff. I'm like, okay, I think I know what I want to do when I'm done. Put that in my back pocket.
Hmm.
My last year playing pro football was '08. I had the best season ever. I came back. I wanted to go NFL. I go to see a movie, and the movie moved me so much that I'm like, and it was a movie. It was Fireproof. It was a movie about marriage.
Yes. Oh, that's a good movie.
Yeah, in the theater though, like it was like couples night, man. It's like all these
Uh-huh.
couples in real time are sitting up here motivated, and it was one of the first times I saw the power of film in such a way where it makes people move, and I'm just like, you know what?
Hmm.
All my life, I'm playing football, and little kids say they want to be like me. What if I see what I can do next? That's kind of staying in that same effect that you can have on people is by doing
Hmm.
film. And I said, who made this film? My wife said the Kendrick brothers made it. And I said, you know what? I want to work with the Kendrick brothers. I prayed
Yeah.
that I would get a shot with the Kendrick brothers. And the very next year, I was working with the Kendrick brothers in the movie Courageous. It opened up #4 in the country, and then that kind of validated that I could
That
do
was like a
this.
massive movie. So many
Yeah,
have enjoyed it. They know what that movie is. I still watch the movie. It's just a fun, it just has such a beautiful storyline, you know?
yeah, man, it was great. It was great, and the fact that people in Hollywood watched it because that's
Yeah.
where I got the call from Hollywood. They saw my role in Courageous, and it was just like it was incredible. Have you ever
Hmm.
thought about coming out to Hollywood? I started praying about it, man. The Lord opened that door. Sold my business, went to Hollywood. 3 years later, I'm in the #1 movie in America, War Room, and I'm right in
Yeah.
Hollywood. And I did it as an uncompromising actor. Met a lot of cool people, and a lot of people in Hollywood got a chance to see someone who claims Christ. But I like to say I try to be Christ done right. Like
Hmm.
I'm not like pumping myself up, but what I like to say is, man, there's plenty of people who do Christ right in the world, and I wish they be
Hmm.
highlighted more, where they don't compromise, but they're not Pharisees, man. They're not judgmental. They try to walk this thing
Hmm.
like Jesus. Nobody's perfect like him, but you can walk in his ways, and that's what I aim to do. And I got a chance to do that for 10 years out there in Hollywood, man, and it's great. And Hollywood, some of the top agencies signed me, and they let me be
Hmm.
me. We just killed that whole myth that you can't be you in
Yeah.
Hollywood. That was the mission too for me.
Now, do you miss living out in Hollywood?
I mean, for me, I can be anywhere as long as my family's with me. I
I
I
agree.
like I liked it, but I'm in the midpoint now. I live in Fort Worth, and for me, I'm closer to my family in Cleveland. and I could still get out there if I need to go out there and do something.
Mm,
I can live anywhere warm, man.
yeah.
But
It's
for
about like
me,
Kelly Clarkson said, Hollywood has only one season and it's sun, hot weather, or either fires. It's not like she
right.
likes a little mist of either rain, cold, not just always hot weather.
Yeah, I mean, for us, like I said, man, if my family, me, my wife, and my two children, if we're not
Mm,
vibing, if we're not doing well, as a family,
mm,
then there's no state in which can make me feel good. But at the same
mhm.
time, if we are together and happy like we always are, man, I could live in Timbuktu, bro.
Yeah.
I could live in Alaska as long as the four of us are tight and we're all walking with the
Mhm.
Lord. I'm good, you know. So yeah, man. I mean, it was really cool to be close to Hollywood and be close to all the parks and all that stuff. I love that, man. But I could flourish anywhere, and if
That's
work
awesome.
comes calling me from Hollywood, hey man, that's what planes are for. I just go over there and do what I
That's
got to do
right.
and come back home.
Now, TC, last question. Is there anything that you hope to accomplish in your lifetime? Maybe something as far as outside of acting, because you were an athlete, then you jumped into acting. Anything else you want to do?
Aside from acting, well, I would say it's flipping the script and getting behind the camera.
Mm-hmm.
I have my first ever script is written, and I plan for this movie to be made. I can't let the cat out of the bag. Well, actually, the cat is out of the bag. On my IMDb, on my IMDb, you'll see it says God sent a spiritual warrior. I'm gonna make this movie, and we can get into that. Maybe I have to come back because that's a whole other conversation. I
Yeah.
would love to really
Yeah.
talk about it. But I want to get behind the camera, and I want to be able to help all the other TCs out there, people who are
Yeah, that's awesome.
uncompromising actors. I want to start making my own content because instead of complaining that
Mm-hmm.
there isn't enough clean content, um,
Mm-hmm.
you have to
You
become a
have to do
creator of
something
it.
about it,
Yeah,
you
man. I
know?
mean, if you had a restaurant and you don't like the food, then quit going in there being a customer. Why don't you become a
Mm-hmm.
chef? Become a
Yeah.
chef and open up your own. And so that's the
Mm-hmm.
next step for TC is to open up my own restaurant and start
That's
serving out my
amazing.
own type of food. And so yeah, man,
Yeah.
I'm gonna become a producer, man. And I've already started with my documentary. By the way, check that out. It's on Amazon. It's got 55 stars right now. It's called 24 Counter: The Story Behind the Run. I did that myself, everything myself, and
Oh,
people are
that's
loving it.
incredible.
So I did it during the lockdown, man. You asked me how I handled the
He
lockdown. I couldn't leave my home, and I produced my first film.
he got creative, and TC's going to be the next big Tyler Perry. Better watch out, Tyler.
Well,
TC's coming.
I'm gonna be the first. Hey, honestly, you just made me think of who I really look up to. I'm gonna be First of all, I'm gonna be the first TC. But if I had to
Yeah,
be
that's right.
if I had to be humble and say who I would model myself after, man, it'd be Denzel.
Mm-hmm.
Denzel Washington,
Oh, he's awesome.
I love him, and
A legend.
I will more so go towards his route. I like the way that he does things,
Mm-hmm.
and in terms of just how he handles the industry, the genre.
Mm-hmm.
I still see him as a brother that's growing in his faith, which is really really cool to see.
Yeah.
But I like the way he handles the work, the craft, the way he directs, the way that he writes, and all those types of different things. So yeah, if I had to, I'm gonna
Mhm.
be the first TC. But if I had to be the next
Yeah.
somebody, man, I see him as a someone that I really really truly look up to in terms of his work ethic in the industry.
TC Stallings, thank you so much for a delightful conversation. Be sure to catch his new movie, No Vacancy, is streaming right now on Pureflix. Thank you so much for the great conversation. You take care and have a great day.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. We'll be back to
Thank
talk
you.
about when I produce my movie.
Yes, that's right now. You're going to come back here. Maybe we'll do it in person next time instead of virtual,
There you
you
go.
know?
There you go.
Yeah.
Where you located? Where you at?
I'm in Augusta, Georgia. Do you know where
There you
Augusta's
go.
at?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but we filmed out there a lot. We filmed in that
Oh,
area.
oh my God. Well, I'll have to come by. I'll have to come
There
by
you
next
go.
time. All right,
Absolutely.
TC. Thank you.
All right, brother. Thank you. Appreciate it.
a federal jury unanimously found Monsanto's popular weed killer Roundup was a substantial factor in causing cancer. If you or someone you love used Roundup and were diagnosed with cancer, call the number on your screen now. You may be entitled to substantial compensation.